Hey guys, Eric Prey, Focus Fishing Guide Service, Table Rock Fishing Intel. Got another long form fishing report for you for Table Rock Lake, exclusively for pro members of Table Rock Fishing Intel. Get you a lot more detail, let you know a lot more of what's going on the lake right now, and hopefully help you catch more and bigger fish. Lake level, we are at 918.5. Lake came up 3 feet from the rain we had. We got some rain coming in this week. It doesn't look nearly as substantial, but the bigger story with the weather is going to be the cold. Have not been up any of the rivers, guys. I got to be honest with you. They canceled the Cape Fair tournament yesterday because of debris. Nico lives up the Kings River, and it's just, he sent me some pictures. It's just an absolute mess. So I have not been up the rivers, despite how bad I want to get up in the rivers and throw a crankbait and a spinnerbait in this warmer water, but I'm not going to tear my boat up just to go catch a few green fish. Water temperature, 49 to 52. I imagine a day like today, it's 70 degrees and sunny. If you did go fish that dirtier water, you'd probably find some 53s, 54s, and 55s. So certainly keep that in mind. Hopefully this debris will settle down and kind of wash out, and we can get up the rivers again by the end of the week and see if that bite's going on up there. But really, I've been had a good few days here. The bite's been good. Saturday was a little bit tough with it being post front, but really the bite's actually been pretty solid. Had a pretty good day today. Again, thank you guys for being Table Rock Fishing Intel members. Really appreciate that. Doing this video for you. You guys know the benefits of it, and I will say we've got some more stuff coming specifically for pro members, and some big changes coming down the pipe, hopefully end of this month, beginning of April. But can't wait to get those for you guys to see. But if you guys are coming down, I'm going to fish the lower end of the lake. I fished the lower end, I guess it was Wednesday or Thursday of last week, and the bite was certainly tough, and it took me a little while to figure them out. But the best bite I had was on an A-rig and on a single swim bait. The biggest thing I can tell you, and this is kind of all over the lake, guys, is that these fish are really relating to cover right now, whether it be a brush pile, some standing timber, dock cables, docks themselves, the weights, the big anchors that they use to hold the docks in place. All those things have been holding some fish down on the lower end of the lake. Most of the fish that we caught were in trees. Did catch a couple out of brush piles, but most of the fish we caught were in trees. They were better fish. They were all blacks. And they were certainly, I mean, we caught a few on the single swim bait, the Kitech 2.8 and threadfin shad on a 1/4 ounce head, but most of the fish came on an A-rig. I've been throwing the 6th Sense Divine rig, matching it all up with Kitechs, usually some sort of a shad color. I haven't really landed on a color that I think is better than anything else, but certainly catching them on an A-rig down there. Had a jerkbait bite going down there that was getting pretty strong, but I think maybe the water warmed up too fast or the shad moved too fast. I'm not really catching them on a jerkbait like I was, say, a week ago or even 2 weeks ago. I think if I had the right wind, when I was down there, we didn't have very much wind at all. If I had the right wind, I think I might have been able to catch a few on a jerkbait, but it was not nearly as strong as I had hoped for. The jig bite, though, really starting to catch them on a Pro Spider jig, mostly about a 1/4 to about halfway back in the creeks. They may be back a little bit more because it's been a few days, but back in the creeks, on the ends of those channel swings, on that chunk rock, ledge rock type stuff, they're really starting to see some fish coming in that 5 to 18 foot range. They're a little bit shallower early, deeper later in the day. So keep that in mind. If you're going to go fish the dam area, I'd probably throw a single swim bait, an A-rig, and a jig would be my top three baits I'd throw there. Going Kimberling City, where I was today, caught everything I caught. Well, let me see. I caught several on a single swim bait right off the bat. It was dead slick calm, and they weren't chasing real good. All the fish I saw on my forward-facing sonar before I caught them, so they weren't really chasing. They were all relating to wood. Most of them more in trees today than brush piles. At least the fish that wanted to bite were in trees, and they were up in the upper portion of the tree. And I caught them on a swim bait. The wind came up and caught them on an A-rig. Caught them pretty good on an A-rig around those trees. Had some decent fish. Really didn't have a lot of blacks. Mostly Kentuckys. Did have one smallmouth. Had 2 fish on a jerkbait, and Threw it for about 35, 45 minutes and only had those 2 bites, and kind of felt like, well, they want something moving faster, especially with the wind. They really wanted something that was moving faster. I tried ripping the jerkbait, and they'd chase it, but they weren't eating it real good. And then I didn't throw a jig today, but over the weekend when we were down here, threw a pro spider jig, 7/16 Okeechobee blue. Same sort of deal you got going down by the dam. It seems like just in the mouth to about halfway back in the creeks, any of those channel swings, there's some better largemouth that are starting to stage and move up on those better channel swings. 8 to about 18, 20 foot deep. Some of them relating to brush and the bases of trees, but for the most part, it's really, these fish are just relating to the rock, and they're on that rock. I was using a speed craw as my trailer. And I don't know that made a difference or not, but certainly caught quite a few over the weekend throwing a jig up that way. Go up the James. I haven't even been to Point 12, guys. I've been to about Cedar Cove. I started to run into some large debris and really didn't fish much up there. I talked to the folks at Cape Fair, and they canceled the tournament yesterday because of the debris in the water. It's pretty gnarly up there. If you're gonna go up that way, I would certainly take your time, and also know that all that debris that was up there is getting drawn down lake, because they're running 4 generators right now trying to move this water through. So if you go up the river, be careful. There'll be a lot of debris up there. Where I caught them was mostly around Ants Creek and Jackson Hollow. Caught them on a jig pretty good. Didn't have any wind first thing in the morning when I was up there, so I caught them on a pro spider jig. Again, those steeper banks, the ends of the channel swings where it just starts to flatten out, seem to be key. Okeechobee blue with a speed craw on it. I was throwing 7/16 on 14-pound fluoro, and you got to work it slow. I mean, you pull it off of a rock and just kind of let it sit for a minute and pull it off of a rock, and then it seems like the bite is really soft. You'll just get the feeling that maybe you're hung up, maybe you're stuck on a rock, and then all of a sudden you lift up and it'll move a little bit. That's really all you're getting for a bite. They're not thumping it really good. Caught them up there on a crankbait as well towards the back of Ants Creek and toward the backs of Little Ants on the channel swing banks. Typical stuff we'd throw a crankbait on. Wiggle wart and a rock crawler, keeping the boat about 10 foot and parallel on the bank. Not a lot of big fish. I know that one of our contributors, Ben, had a couple of good ones on Sunday, I guess it was. Saturday or Sunday, I can't remember which. He had a 6-pounder and a 4-pounder. I caught a lot of 2.5 to 3-pound on the crankbait when I was up there. Kind of makes me feel like these fish are really starting to move in that dirtier water, because you get about halfway back in Ants, not even halfway, a third of the way back in Ants, and you really see a distinct color change. And that's where we're catching them on that crankbait. And again, parallel on the bank, keeping the boat in about 10 foot of water was really the key for that. And then, you can catch them on an A-rig up there. You can catch them on a swim bait up there. To be honest with you guys, my shoulders kill me from throwing an A-rig down lake. So when I got up there, I really wanted to power fish. I really wanted to fish shallow, and I really wanted to target largemouth. And I seem to be catching more spots on an A-rig than I am largemouth. I'll catch the occasional largemouth, don't get me wrong, but I'm really seem to be catching a lot more spots on an A-rig and a swim bait. So I kind of moved shallower looking for largemouth when I was up there, so I didn't really throw it much up there. Up the White was all the way up to around Campbell Point. Did not go up the Kings, did not go above Shell Knob. I'm sure if you were to launch it like Big M, you'd be okay. There'll be some debris, but it won't be bad. I know the Kings is an absolute mess, and all that stuff's gonna start flowing downstream. I know yesterday there was some debris in the Shell Knob area. It wasn't bad. I mean, you could work your way through it and work your way around it, but it wasn't horrible. But there is some big floating debris around Shell Knob. The bites that are working up there, we're back in the clearer water and catching them on a single swim bait, of course. Kitech 2.8, threadfin shad's been my best color on a 1/4 ounce head. Again, it seems like all over the lake, the fish are really relating to wood cover right now. So, look at your brush piles, look at your trees. The shad are moving up, and the shad have been hanging around those brush piles and trees. And the shad are up in the water column, and it really seems like you get a windy day or a sunny day like we've got today, and the shad raise up, and the really active fish are up in the top of the water column, up less than 10 foot deep. They may be over 50, but they're less than 10, 15 foot deep. So we did catch them on a swim bait up there, caught them on an A-rig up there as well. Again, targeting wood, whether it be a brush pile, whether it be a standing timber, caught a couple off of the ends of docks, caught one off of a dock cable. They're really relating to some sort of cover. I don't know if it's because of the amount of current or the fact that that bites better when there's sun, but they are certainly relating to cover right now when you're throwing those baits. Caught a few on a jig up there, back towards the back of Big Creek on one of the channel swings, really where the channel swing flattened out. Okeechobee blue, I mean, that's my go-to color anymore, on a 7/16 spider jig. Had a speed crawl on it and just working it down those steps. And again, that bite is really soft. So you feel anything that feels different, put a little pressure on it, and you feel any movement, set the hook right away, because they are spitting it pretty quick as well. Did not throw a jerkbait up there at all. I'm about to put my jerkbait boxes up, which will probably cost me in the tournament in a couple of weeks. But I am about to put my jerkbaits up because I'm just not getting the bites I normally get this time of year on a jerkbait. And then we did catch a few on a rock crawler and a wigglewort towards the back of Mill Creek there by point 21 on those secondary points. And again, keeping the boat 10, 12 foot deep, parallel in the bank. And all I'm throwing is crawdad colors, guys. I'm not messing around with anything else. I'm throwing the old Dave Barker Brown craw on my wigglewort. And then I kind of alternate, between spring craw and red craw, depending on watercolor, and even the green craw on the rock crawler. I just kind of, if the water's really clear, I'll throw the green. If it's dirty, I will throw, if it's just stained, slightly stained, I'll usually switch over to that spring craw. And then if it's really dirty, I throw the red craw. Getting bit equally on all those, but the key is maintaining bottom contact from the time that thing hits the water to the time it gets back to the boat, and just paying attention. Again, the bite's not hard. I've had very few of them freight train it. Most of them, it's been, all of a sudden you just lose that wiggle. All of a sudden you think either I've got moss or I've got a fish. Most of the times it's been a fish. I will say this, I am starting to see some moss, primarily in the mid-lake area. So I'm afraid we're gonna have moss to deal with here before too much longer, but until it gets here, the bite's been pretty solid. So I would certainly throw a crankbait, I'd throw a rig, I would certainly throw a jig if I was gonna go up the white this week. Definitely got some good bites. Guys, again, thank you for being members of Table Rock Fishing Intel. Hope this video being a little bit longer with a little bit more detail helps you out a little bit more. And again, if you ever wanna take a guide trip, just get a hold of me. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743. Or hit my website, focusfishing.com, and either shoot me an email, book online, whatever works for you. But guys, again, thanks for watching the videos. Thanks again for being members of Table Rock Fishing Intel. Really hope we get some new stuff for you guys to see here real quick. I mean, it's almost ready. So hopefully we'll have some really cool stuff for you guys to check out here by the end of the month. But thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.